We spoke about DM, so going on to transfers rather than the players we have already. I think I've obviously got to bring up Declan Rice, who seems to be the clear number one choice at the moment. It feels a lot like the Ben Chilwell situation to me, just based on what I've read, either from you or from Simon Johnson or other people as well talking about Declan, him sort of being the long-term choice. I mean, is there any budging on this, or is this something Chelsea are going to pursue in terms of getting Declan Rice?
Yeah, so he's Frank's number one choice by far. Frank rates him as a player. Really likes what he can bring to the team. The added bonuses, as people know, and it's not a reason to sign him. I'll make that clear, but it is an added bonus that he is a Chelsea boy, a Chelsea fan, playing at the Chelsea academy. He's played in the Premier League for a long time. He knows the Premier League. Like, he's made over 100 appearances or 100 starts, whatever it was, at such a young age. So the way he would fit in, like Chilwell, he's just seamlessly come in, and he looks like he's been at Chelsea for years, and he suits the system. And Declan would be the same. He would suit the system pretty quickly, and he'd know his surroundings and the league very well. So he's a clear number one choice. The board want to back Lampard. The board want to give him Rice because they're all about giving Lampard now his first choice signings, as we've seen now with Havertz, Werner, etc. So he's a clear number one. However, the only caveat is the price. And Lampard is not spending the money, right? If you ask Lampard, he'll spend 200 million if he has to get Declan. But the board are obviously a little bit wary of spending so much money on a player who was in our academy before. We've spent so much money already. We're not selling as many players as we want. So there's so many factors and tendencies that come into it, tangible things, that can stop or start a transfer, which people don't realise. It's not as simple as, okay, bid in, sign. There's so many things. And we saw the reason that Declan didn't sign is because we couldn't get someone out. That was the only reason we didn't sign Declan Rice. It was being pushed. People wanted it. He is the obvious number one, but other players, I'm sure you're going to ask this question anyway, but I'll quickly do a quick one before you ask it. There are other players have been scouted and looked at, for sure.
Are those two players, or at least two of those players, number one, Denis Zakaria from Borussia Mönchengladbach? I spoke about him on the channel last week. Interesting player because he's not your typical DM in a sense. He's quite a versatile player. He can potentially be a box-to-box type midfielder too. And I think that's very, relevant in the modern game of seeing more versatile players now who can play in a variety of positions. That seems to be sort of a trend now across a lot of top players that you go and recruit. And Chelsea, I think that was very relevant to Chelsea's recruitment this summer in terms of attacking players. Samar, I think from Lille, was one that was touted as far back as like pre-Christmas last year. The thing I want to ask you though, in terms of those other options, in terms of transfers, is could Chelsea find the answer internally? What I mean by that is Billy Gilmour or recalling Ethan Ampadu, because to me those are two options there where I think, all right, I understand Chelsea want their first choice target and I'm happy with the board backing Lampard, but we may have two brilliant answers here. Can you see that line of thinking, and do you think that could potentially happen?
Definitely see the line of thinking. I'm a big fan of both the players you just mentioned. Ampadu, I think the club right now see Ampadu as more of a centre-back as of right now. I know he's played there recently for Wales and he does a great job, and he's actually just played there for Sheffield United and done a good job. So maybe Chelsea are looking at that now. But it's early days. But yeah, they definitely, by the way, Chelsea rate Ampadu. They want him to be a long-term member of the squad going forward. And they also very much rate Billy Gilmour. Frank Lampard's a huge fan of Billy. That's common knowledge. Billy has an ability to do a lot of things. He can tackle, he can play a long ball, he's box to box, he's tenacious. So he would be another kind of 8, as box to box kind of do both. He also has the ability to pick a pass, and he can hold if he's coached correctly. He is young, which typically means they're easier to coach. When they're young and fresh, they're kind of easier, they take more information on. So if he could be coached to be a holding mid, then he's definitely a great option. And then Ampadu's giving you that option now of being a holding mid, but kind of maybe seen as more of a centre-back. So them two will definitely have their chances. They'll especially under Frank, they'll have their chances to kind of be a member of the squad and maybe be that missing piece that we need. Unless, you're going to go with a drastic change of maybe training Kante to really be a holding mid. I don't know if you can do it. He's been doing what he does typically, the box-to-box search and destroy for so long, so well. So could he do it? Being a little bit older, I'm not sure. But we're talking about options, right? Which is great. We're not talking about the Bakayokos and the Drinkwaters of this world anymore. We're talking about top class players and even academy products coming through. So we're very lucky to do that. But I do think that not January. I don't think anything's going to happen in January. Again, I'm not saying it will. I'm going to be clear here before I get, having to do another one. But I don't think we'll see anything happen in January as such. I don't think Ampadu's coming back off loan. Many people have asked. I don't see us signing Declan in January. But the summer will be very interesting. And yeah, the Zakarias, as you said, and the Samores of Lille, they've been looked at. They've been scouted for sure. And even Partey, Partey was a late option for us. And if we wanted him, we could have got him. Let's just say that. But in the end, Declan's always been the number one. But yeah, we definitely have options for sure.
There is. My only concern with, I guess you could throw Gilmour in the same boat, but I think the fact Gilmour's currently at Chelsea and has played under Lampard, I think obviously is always going to give you a better chance than Ampadu, who hasn't played for Lampard yet. And football's a crazy game. I'm sure, we all know this, right? And a lot can change. And I don't, know what the thinking of the Chelsea board is, as you've just stated, but I just concerned with Ampadu that if Chelsea go out and spend a lot of money on Declan Rice, with the way he's rated, the fact that he's constantly playing for Wales, even like last season when he was barely playing for Leipzig, he was still getting in that Wales side. Rangnick clearly rates him highly. Do you fear we could be losing a very good talent early, potentially? Because he, like Lamptey, could look at the situation and think, why don't I move now because I'm not going to get the chance at Chelsea? Is there a risk there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ampadu, there's definitely a risk because Ampadu is, in the same respect as Tarek Lamptey, as you said there, he's a confident individual. He rates himself. He rates his ability. He knows he can play at the Premier League level. He was an absolute superstar. I wrote an article for Breaking the Lines a long time ago, 3-4 years ago, like a real deep interview kind of analysis on Ampadu and kind of his background. He's been coached by his dad for a long time. I know for people who know his dad, who's a great coach at Arsenal back in the day, and obviously Exeter. Ampadu's always been a superstar. He's always played 2-3 years up. He's always been the best player on the field. He's a confident, and he comes from a footballing family. So he's a very confident guy. He rates himself and knows he can play. So he can look at this and be, well, if I'm not going to play at Chelsea, which again, it's like Callum, Hudson-Odoi, it's like other people. Their dream is to play for Chelsea. Let's not get this wrong. In an ideal world, they want to stay and play. But the way football is now, player power, agents, stuff like that, it's very easy for these players to say, you know what, I'm not going to make it. I'm going to go elsewhere. And there's definitely a risk with Ampadu because he's not naive. He's fully aware of the game. He has his dad backing him, his agent backing him. So he could definitely move on. But we're just going to hope that, he's being given assurances by Chelsea that he'll get a chance. And Lampard, which Lampard's very good at. He's a very good man-manager. I've heard that from many people. He's very good at arm around the shoulder when needed. And he's also good at giving a kick up someone's arse if they need it. So hopefully we don't lose Ampadu and we don't see another episode of kind of the Kevin De Bruyne's and the Lukaku's that people like to reference now. But, like you said there, Daniel, and you're spot on, a lot of things can change. Between now and 6 months, a lot of things can change.
I think even by Christmas, as we bring up, Gilmour, who I believe is 2 or 3 weeks now away from returning. Yeah. I mean, you always have to give that time with injuries, especially an injury where he's been out for this amount of time, where you can't just expect him to walk back into the first team. And as we said way back, you were talking about fitness and player and pre-season and him not having a pre-season. And I'm sure at the start of injuries, players have to train individually, don't they? So he'll be away from the group, I'm sure, and then you need to reintegrate into the group. But I think that Gilmour, at some point in this season, if he doesn't go out on loan, say, in January, I think he could be that lone DM. Do you think Frank will do what he did last season? Because to me, when Gilmour played as that lone DM against Liverpool and Everton, he looked absolutely wonderful in that area and was adding everything we sort of hoped from a player in that system. Could you see that happen?
Yeah, I do. I think, because like I said earlier, Lampard rates him. As long as he's, like you say, as long as his fitness is returning adequately, no problems there. Because you've got to realise how difficult that is to kind of get your match fitness back. It's going to take longer. So people were saying, you're right, 2-3 weeks is when he'll be back fit. But then he's got to, like you say, he's got to get back in the group and get tactically ready. They've got to decide where he's going to play. But yeah, I could definitely see him being used in that holding mid, especially if we change the system permanently as we look to do to 4-3-3. I could definitely see it because of his performance last year against Liverpool, which was fantastic, and like you say, Everton as well. So definitely can see it. It's just going to take a little bit of time to really get one, the match sharpness and the match fitness back, but also maybe even more importantly, the tactical side of it, making sure that he understands his role, making sure he knows that he can't be kind of flying around and smashing people because, he's a little Scotsman. He does love a tackle and he is search and destroy kind of naturally. So kind of making him understand that he'll have to sit in there and do that will take a little bit of time as well. You've got to be patient with these young kids. He's still stepping up to the level, but he's definitely got all the tools to do it. And he's a very liked kid around the place. He's very close with a lot of players now in the first team. Even though he is quiet, he's kind of coming out of his shell a lot more, that I've heard. And Lampard rates him. So, yeah, he's definitely got a chance for sure. And it's very exciting. I want to see him for sure.
Sorry to put you under this amount of pressure, but in a year's time, say, all the players we just spoke about, potential solutions to that problem, who's the DM? Let's say Frank is playing a 4-3-3 and he's found his solution. Who is that solution?
Anybody or someone already in the
just the people I guess, in relation to, will it be someone we buy? Will it be internally? What would you say in your opinion in, say, a year's time? I know it's very difficult, but...
I'm gonna say Declan Rice. I think we're gonna get him. I think we're gonna get him, and I think he's gonna play in that role. By the way, he's also rated as a centre back, and Lampard. That's something that Lampard likes, that he can play both. But if I was a betting man, not too much money maybe, but a little bit, I'd probably say Declan in a year's time will be our holding mid, and then hopefully, an Ampadu or a Gilmour will be right there competing with him for sure. And then maybe I'd maybe see Kante moving on, but again, long time away, not too sure. But yeah, if I was a betting man, I'd go Rice in a year's time.
I think, to me, it feels like an inevitable move at the moment. And also, Jorginho, I expect Jorginho to be off next summer maybe, and Chelsea will be getting a decent fee for him. So that opens up space in a congested area. And as we've constantly stated here, football changes so quickly. And for all of these players, in terms of injuries, in terms of form, in terms of the form of Chelsea, you don't know where we're going to be in 2 weeks' time, let alone a year's time. So it's hard to know. Before we wrap up, just want to ask you sort of your expectations and hopes for the rest of Chelsea season, because we're sort of getting into that bulk of the season now that's so important. All right, we started a month later, but it's a congested time of the year. We get into winter. It's always difficult and always so crucial. What do you expect for Chelsea in terms of Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup? Your sort of hopes for the rest of the season.
Yeah, so before the season, I'll kind of go there and I'll kind of go from what I've seen now. I think before the season, I said we'd probably come third. I wouldn't be overly surprised by fourth in the Premier League. This is obviously before the season started, and now we've seen that, surprisingly, Arsenal are looking a little bit sharp. They've kind of dropped off a little bit more recently, but they've had moments where they've looked very sharp. I think Tottenham, unfortunately, are definitely here to compete this year. I think they're looking a lot more solid under Mourinho in his second season, which is typically a traditional thing with Mourinho. So I think they're going to be up there as well. And again, United look sharp. So I think Chelsea will find themselves around the third and fourth. The positive thing about Chelsea is when we're going in the attacking sense, I think we're hard to stop. I think we could probably score against anyone. Now it's just all going to be about the defence. But obviously Mendy's come in and made a huge, huge difference. So I'm pretty confident that if we can keep going on the way we're going, we are going to lock up hopefully that third spot. Again, the league can change. Anything can happen. In terms of Champions League, I think we'll progress through the group. I think we'll win the group. I'm confident we'll win the group. I think Lampard's learning that tactical nous that you need to have in Europe. Clean sheets are fundamental in Europe. Kind of playing away, playing at home. I know times have changed now with fans, but he seems to be switched on. He's kind of seems to be learning more and more, which he is learning, by the way. He's learning on the job. He's still a new manager, but, if anybody's got the respect and the work rate to get it right, it'll be him. So I'd like to see us win the group, and then from there, it's hard to predict, right? Because you don't know what draw you're going to get. Are you going to get Bayern straight off the bat? Are you going to get a random country? You just don't know. So I would like us, expectations, I would like us to get to at least the quarterfinals, at least. I think, obviously, depending on the draw, could we go semi-finals for sure? Europe's a funny game, as we saw in 2012, right? It's a funny game. You can go all the way one year. And Tottenham obviously made it to the final a couple of years and they never should have. So FA Cup, I think we'd like to go one better, right, and win it. We typically do well in the FA Cup. We were unlucky not to win it last year. I think a lot of things went against us. Won't talk about the referee or anything like that. But so in overall, I think, the more we see these relationships build, the more we see Lampard find his shape, find his formation and find his game, I think we'll kind of go on and up. Just we've got so much talent. We've got so much talent that we would be stupid not to. And I think Lampard's the man to do that, to take us down, fully Lampard in for that. So just to clarify, it would probably be third place in Premier League, maybe fourth. I don't see us coming any lower than that, hopefully. I'm pretty confident with that. And then FA Cup, I'd like to see us win it, at least get to the final, right? Because anything can happen in the final. At least give us a chance. And then Champions League, at least make the quarterfinals, hopefully go further.
I think I'm pretty much the same on that. And I think majority of opinions I've seen about Chelsea this season, I think, that's the same. And sometimes you don't want to sort of be influenced just by what's going on week by week based on your preseason expectations. I think it's always healthier. Like last season was a great example for me of when I think about what I predicted before the season started. It really helped me in some of those difficult moments last season to really get perspective on what was actually going on. And I think that's the same this year. But hopefully, I think FA Cup for me is the big game, because it'd be lovely to see Frank with a piece of silverware at Chelsea, and it'd feel like progress along with the Champions League and Premier League. But thank you so much, Dan, for coming on the channel. Great, insightful discussion in terms of tactics, in terms of transfers. As I do with all my guests, I want to give you the chance now, mate, to shout out and promote where people can find your work online.
Yeah, appreciate it, buddy. Just find me on Macca Sport, so MACCA Sport. You'll find me on Twitter. I'm trying to be more active than maybe I was before, trying to kind of do a little bit of different stuff because I don't want to be known as one kind of thing, as I've said before, kind of trying to do different things, videos and stuff like that. Trying to bring something different to the platform, maybe from a coaching point and maybe more of a tactical point. So, yeah, you can definitely find me there doing a bunch of different things, and coming soon, hopefully, a little collab with Simon and other guys coming forward. So it should be fun.
No worries. And all the links to Dan's work will be in the description box below. But thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Rate and review if you're listening on the podcast. Follow me on Twitter @SonofChelsea, and I'll see you again.